Hi, this is Jill Raven Stevenson of the Soul Star Connection. And I am here. This is the second in my series, Conversations With. Conversations With is a platform I created, I think it was back in November that it really took root and was birthed from a series of conversations I did a couple of years ago. And my whole intentions with Conversations With is to provide a platform in a conversational setting where we get to talk with different women that are at the forefront of change and that are offering services to help us through transformational parts of our life, transition parts of our life, to help us to continue in that vein of self discovery and help us with our own development as beautiful souls upon this path we call life. And the conversations are meant to nurture, inspire, and engage our own ideas and thoughts. And in this second series, the second piece I'm putting out here is with April Small. And I get to have 60 minutes with this beautiful girl on fire. When I started interviewing with her, she just felt like this beautiful girl on fire. It's very popping with this bubbling with joy and popping with inspiration. And she's a beautiful artist, teacher, life coach, creative guide. And she really talks about in these 60 minutes a little bit about her journey and how she came to create this business called O Donata, which I love that name. She goes into it a little bit more. She talks about the value of creativity and how it can really link and empower and embody our dreams, embody healing, embody transformation. And she, along with that, shows us and teaches us that idea of following our dreams and what that might look like and what that might take. And along with that, in this conversation, we get to see a little bit of that gift of being a mother and how to weave all of this together and as one beautiful life. And so, with that, please join me for the next 60 minutes with April Small. Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Jill Raven Stevenson of the Soul Star Connection. And I am so grateful and I feel really lucky actually to be having this time with April Small of, I'm going to hopefully say this right, O Donata,
You've got it.
artistic
Services.
services. All right, thank you. I was just going to say artistic world. But
Yes, well, it is a world, right?
it totally is. And you're out on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, and you're saying you're having a snowstorm.
Yep, we're in the middle of a snowstorm right now.
Right. And I woke up and it's 4 degrees.
Yeah,
So
that's actually cold for you guys, right? Does it normally get cold where you live?
well, we have this is really funny. I'm from Minnesota originally. So
So
when
very,
I moved here, I'm in the Northern Sierras, and when I moved here in California, and when I moved here, they claimed that this is the coldest place in the world, or the United States. And I was like, "You been to South Dakota in a windstorm? Have you been to northern Minnesota?" And I'm like, "Huh, okay." But we have a sinkhole area that we near us that does has the lowest record, so we still claim we're the
oh, that's
coolest.
funny.
It's really funny. So 4 degrees feels unusual for this time of year, but uh, we can get that cold in January, not usually in February. Usually February we all can feel spring coming, so we are in a little bit of a different weather pattern.
Super excited for spring to come. That's such a great creative time of the year, right? Because we have all the colors sprouting up
Right,
and our
right.
our cups are being filled with the sunlight and all the joy of the fresh new stuff coming in. Oh, I love it.
Oh, I love that. I know. I just was at the store buying seeds. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel bad because we have little plants already sprouting up because we had 40,
Oh,
50, 60-degree weather this week and they
right,
started to come up and then a snowstorm came in.
right, right. Well, hopefully it will melt off. Well, I want
Yeah.
to just move into first, Odonata.
Yes,
Can you say a little bit about that name and how what that means and how it came to you and all of
of
that?
course.
Yeah.
So I really love talking about this. When I started my business, I actually worked for a very not a long time, but for a good amount of time in a very stressful career path in management. And then I was running the medical division of a staffing company and I was working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was not happy. And
Yeah.
I found my way back to artwork through a coworker. And she took me to a paint night and I was like, I'm going to quit and I'm going to start my own art business. And
Oh,
she
I
was
love
like,
this.
yeah, okay. 3 months later, I should, I really did. I quit. And I named my business Odonata because I've always loved dragonflies, and the scientific term for dragonfly is Odonata. So,
Oh my gosh.
and the meaning behind Odonata, right? So, dragonflies, transformation, coming into yourself at a higher level. And
Right.
that was
Right.
me when I found my business. I was like, what am I doing this job that I hate
Oh
when
my
I can
gosh.
fly and show my true colors and be the artist I always wanted to be and actually make money so I could support myself. And at the time, I wasn't a mom yet.
Right.
And I was single and I was like, if it's now or never, right? Like I have
Yeah.
nothing
You just
relying on
left.
me. So like
Yeah.
right now, take the leap. And that's how it all began over 8 years ago now.
Oh
But
wow.
that's why I picked Odonata because of the whole symbolic meaning behind dragonflies and because I always loved them.
I love Dragon. I just love that little connection we have right now. I'm just, like when you, I don't know, when I was talking with you, I'm like, I really want to interview you. Is get to know you more and share you with, people
I
I'm
really
connected with.
appreciate it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for having me.
yeah. Um, there's such a breaker through illusion too. Like they, take us into the light of things. Like I just, and they are so. I love how they go from water to land. I just love everything that you're talking about, and that just like before I got on, all I could think about is I'm interviewing the girl on fire. You just feel like you're on fire when I'm with you in that passionate, exuberant, joy-filled way. And I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
like amazing of you to say. Honestly,
Oh,
I feel on fire lately. I am like
really? Like
the
popcorn?
most creative.
Yeah.
I feel the most creative I've ever been lately and the most in flow in my own joy. And
Oh, I
it's
love that.
contagious, right? So like when you feel joy, joyful people find themselves, surrounding you and we
Oh,
all bring each other up, right?
I love that.
I
That's
just
like,
love it.
right. You're just reminding me of what it was about 2 years ago. I was out walking. I'm just going to go in this energy right now. I was out
Yeah.
walking with my husband, and we live in kind of, it's been a drought type atmosphere for a while. So we have this fear of fire around it. Well, we don't, but a lot of energy of fear around fire. And there was out in the middle of this field where there's no water, there must have been 300 dragonflies. Like in that kind of vortexal type flight pattern, all spiraling
Wow.
up into the sky. And we sat there for like 20 minutes, like, where did
That
they come?
sounds
One, where did they come
absolutely
from?
amazing.
Right, but it reminds me what you just said is like that lifting, rising up
Yep.
energy of joy, how that just bubbles out into everything. And
Yeah.
it does like that, like attract like type part
Yeah.
of our manifestation. And anyways, I just love that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And when you think about vibration, like when you're feeling low vibe, you tend to hang out with other people that also feel low vibe, right? But
Right.
we have to be more cautious when we're feeling low vibe. We need to get out there and do things that bring our vibe back up and surround ourselves with people high vibe so that we're not going down. We want to go up. Like must stay up.
Right. What do you do? Like when you, because we all have, like, I always think there's like a temperance of, how we go up and down as creatives, we can really feel that, right?
Oh yeah,
So what do
I
you
definitely do.
do? Yeah, what is your like little key or little nuggets that you like
So I
share?
mean, when it comes to me, I've always had really low lows, and I think that's part of the reason I found my way into creativity. As a child, I had a lot of anxiety and like depression, and being creative was my, outlet, and that was my
Right.
way of dealing with things and
Mm,
coping and feeling better. Because and like, how accomplished do you feel when you make something? Like once
right.
it's done, so then it kind of brings you out. So for me,
I
now that
love
I'm older
that.
and of course a little bit wiser, right? Hopefully. I feel that I'm getting low and then I make sure, are you taking at least 15 minutes a day to put brush to canvas and not even having an actual plan of what you're creating, but just creating. Playing with colors, bright colors, things that, boost your mood. And of
Oh,
course,
I love
getting
that.
outside in the sunlight and in the fresh air and laughing, dancing, singing. I mean, I have a 4-year-old, so there's lots of that going on here,
Right,
right?
right.
Last night we had literally a party light and a microphone, and we did karaoke and everything.
I love that.
So, like, leaning into my creative practice and leaning into things that bring me joy so that I don't allow myself to dip any lower when I do feel low. And of course, I feel low. I'm a very sensitive person. So, I
Right,
mean, it happens often, right?
right. Yeah, because we can feel, I always think we can feel the atmospheric. I always think that there's this atmospheric thing that can associate it. For me, at least,
Yep.
I am the one, I put on music and get a blank canvas and dance and paint on the, on the
Yep.
canvas. I
Yep.
love the bright color piece. Like, I'm going to pay attention to that, like what
Yeah,
color,
pay attention
and
to the
switch the energy.
colors you're using, and that'll actually give you a lot of insight. I have a background in psychology as well, so I'm gonna get
Oh,
nerdy.
that's so cool.
The
Yeah.
colors you're drawn to and things like that, that might actually give you some insight into how you're feeling, even though you're not noticing your emotions. So if you're
Oh,
feeling yourself pulled to things, you might notice, hey, I kind of get more drawn to these colors when I'm feeling a little blue. So it might be able to trigger you to go into your response and go ahead and do things that bring your mood back up if you start
right.
to notice it happening.
I
So look
love
for those
that.
color patterns.
Right. So I'm Aquarius, so I go into my mind a lot.
Yeah.
And so I always, for colors, I always associate them with words. And I love the idea, and I always think they're like a living library for me for some reason. Like the color, color blue is like a living library and has so much more to say.
That's
And
beautiful.
but I love the idea of also using it to begin to,
Yeah.
as a
To
way
kind of
to
gauge your mood.
reflective. Yeah, like reflecting back your
And color is so cool though. Like, did you know if you look at like a bright green for a few minutes, it's actually supposed to like invoke like an innate trigger in your brain to be more creative and think outside the box. And that's why they have green
Oh,
rooms and stuff for actresses and actresses before they go on stage and things like that, because it's actually a brain trigger.
that's like symbols. Like symbols can be a
Yep.
brain trigger. Color
Yep.
is a brain trigger. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, I
symbols.
love that.
We have to have our symbols, right? I
Me
might draw
too.
you one, like, right there.
Right.
And my whole house is full of my paintings of symbols, like, that we want to invoke. I mean,
Right.
like, I remember when I started working with symbols and, I did, an animal totem of the lioness because I was recently getting out of my relationship and I needed strength, right? So
Right.
I painted this fierce lioness and I hung her up right in my bedroom. And I was like, I'm going to look at her every day and I'm going to be strong and I'm going to go ahead and like start remembering who I am and creating the life that I actually want again because I had dipped low and I let someone else kind of, change my
Wow.
path. And then when I realized, like, hey, I'm not really happy, like, I better probably get out of this and find myself again. So, I mean, like, having those symbols around our home is so important. So, like, I love to teach people, like, make sure that you're like surrounding yourself with the symbols, the colors, anything that reminds you of the things that that you want to remember. Like, if you want to
Right.
be strong, have that symbol of strength or some red or some carnelian stones, right?
Right. I love that because it's kind of like I have this thing sometimes with people I'm working with of like they have a dream that's out in front of them and I am like live as if it already is. And I just realized that right now, like if you paint those things around you, then you are beginning to live as if it already is. Like it's being mirrored, reflected back to you.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yep. Call in your strength, faith your strength, and
Right.
make sure you surround yourself with those colors. And then, you look at it and you do your affirmations and you keep feeding your mind and then it becomes your reality and it's so easy to manifest when you're doing the little things to keep,
Right.
reinforcing those new thought patterns, the new behaviors that you want.
Oh my gosh, I love. So I want to be able to share a tiny bit before I get into some deeper questions. Though this is super fun where we're heading here is I know for I love the bridge that you have because art is so many things to to people. Like for me, it can be like a library, like archival. People who paint landscapes. I always think they're like that has an idea of this is what the world looks like now to heal, helping us heal or move things or manifest things. It can be storytelling, so many things. And I know for you, you take people through a painting experience. You also paint specific portraits for people. And you have this other part that's really blooming right now around using art as a way to guide them in their life. So I love to hear more from you, what art is for you and how you are bridging it in different ways to people.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, at first, it started off as I really love art. I want to share art with others, right?
Yeah.
So, I quit my career and I started teaching the paint classes. So, I do like private parties or big public events or fundraisers. And it was just great to bring communities together to get creative.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
of course, now it's 8 years later and it's gone deeper. It's much more than
Mm,
that.
right.
I went to school. I ended up graduating college for a degree in psychology. So then I'm starting to think of the psychological aspect of things,
Right.
and ended up getting life coaching certifications and therapeutic art life coaching certifications. So I'm kind of incorporating life coaching and bettering your life alongside of having a creative practice because marrying the two really reinforces the psychological changes that you're trying to make
Oh, I love that.
by
Yeah.
by being physical and like having like your hands incorporating like a process alongside of like, hey, these are the changes I'd like to make and see in my life. It really reinforces the new synapses connections in our brain when our neurotransmitters are firing off. So like if you have like this thought like, oh, I'm not good at art, and how common is that? So many
Oh
people
my
feel
gosh,
that way.
so much. Yeah.
Because Joe Schmo said your drawing stunk in third grade. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
right. I'm an
So
art
we want
teacher,
to,
so I'm always watching for that. Yeah.
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 So we want to change that thought pattern. And so what I do
Mm.
is I teach people how to reframe it and how to acknowledge what's true and what isn't, and then how to use some sort of creative practice to reinforce the new thought pattern that we want to believe or what we want to manifest and call into our life. And then how do you use that artwork or craft project afterward to, like I said, have the
Mm.
symbol hanging on your walls? so that you can affirm
Ah,
and keep reinforcing. So it's been like a fun trip. I still do the regular classes, but I am working on workshops that are life coaching with a creative twist. And
right,
I just want to create change. I want women, especially, to believe that they can do things. Like,
right.
how often do we have kids and we get stuck and we lose ourselves, or we never live out our dreams because we're doing and supporting everybody else?
Or
That's
waiting. That
that's
was
not cool.
mine. That was my patterning.
Yep.
Is because when I create, I feel like I go into a whole nother world, and it was really hard for me to get pulled out of that world. That's where I think the creative practice helps if you just do a little bit every day, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
I pen to paper or paintbrush to canvas at least 5 minutes every day, always.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Just like, well, I'm going to follow this really quickly, and then I'm going to circle back to that because I really love
Yep.
what you just said. Is but just to kind of help mothers or women that are in that place of transition, they're not happy, or they have, or not even that they're just having something that's birthing in them, right? We can so push that down. Like that's what I did when I birthed my daughter. So many other things birthed with me. I was like, oh, things
Yeah.
that I had decided to wait on, right? And one of them was just my own artistry. I was a recreation therapist before I had her, so I used art for therapeutic reasons. And when I had my daughter, it's like my artist wanted to come out, and I was
Yeah.
like, how do you manage all of this?
Yeah. Oh,
Right, right.
it's
And so
hard.
my message
The
was,
beginning is hard.
right. So my message was push it down, like I can do that later, I'll do that later. And I'd be up like middle of the night trying to get it out of me because it was so alive inside of me.
Yeah.
So I love what you're saying, which is, and I love your journey that you started creating and you just had to create because it was how you rebalanced or, reconnected with you, right?
Yep.
And then you went into, offering, just knowing that that's what you had to be, like you just had to
Yeah.
do this.
It was a little crazy. I like literally just went off a cliff and was like, I'm doing it. My
I know,
friends
it
were
does,
like,
that's what it
you're
felt like
crazy.
like wings out, here we go.
Yeah. I don't know what it is in me. I've always just been a little bit like, let's just do it.
Well,
And
that's that girl
I
on
feel
fire
very
piece.
lucky that I have that trait because
Yeah,
a lot of people will sit and question and for some reason I don't. I just
right,
go.
that
I'm
is
like,
a
let's see what
beautiful
happens.
trait.
If I fall, I'll get up.
I'll get up. I love that. But
I
I
mean,
was
it
just
fails sometimes. I don't think I'm always successful. I got lucky, finding my
right,
passion. But you know what it is? It's not just luck. When you find your passion and you're in line with your authentic self, people are attracted to that. They want to know what I'm doing, and I want to share because I want them to do what they have in them. Like, because we all have it. We have
right,
something to
right,
offer the world, right? Like,
right,
let's
right.
show everyone what you got. Don't be scared. Like,
Right. Like shine bright like a diamond. There's
yeah,
another song that's been coming through. Like I'm
yeah,
on fire. And I love the creative practice piece, and just like saying like having that creative practice piece, but I never bridged this just until now in this conversation. This is why I love having these conversations. Is then you have that tangible piece and to begin to work with the power of what was created, like the gift within what was created,
yeah,
right? Like I've been thinking about that lately, like slow down, sit in front of your paintings sometimes and just receive from them. Like
yes,
I don't know. I
yes.
would love to circle back though, just to, talk about, I just have a few questions that kind of came to me. Are answering some of them. In this past year, like, well, one, I love how you already know a trait that you just love in yourself, which is when you are ignited, you go.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like I'm going.
Yes. I'm
Right,
going. There's no
right,
stopping. It
yeah.
can be a fault though, but I'm going.
Yeah, but like everything has I guess everything has
Shadow and a light.
yeah, well,
There's
yeah,
like a
and
polar to everything. I mean, like it's
right.
great, but it's also like if I get my head set on like a not very good idea, I'm probably going through with it, whether it's good or not.
Oh, I love that though. Because there's something in it. Like it reminds me of the Navajo that leave that one imperfection piece in their weavings, right? They leave that one hole, that one thread that's not completely attached
That's awesome.
to
I like that too.
I know, isn't that cool to make room for more possibility?
Yeah.
Right. That's what it feels like to me when you're talking. I would love to know about uh how do you well, let me see here. Um, what do you draw inspiration from? Like it sounds like color, but what other things, what tangible things or
Well,
what yeah.
that is such a good question because there's so many answers. But right now I have something specific that
Oh
is
yes.
so like I right now I'm drawing my inspiration off crystals. So I have a ridiculously massive collection of crystals at this point. I have like 200 different kinds. I'm crazy.
Wow.
I know. I've gone overboard. These, like I said, I run with it. So maybe I'll run myself right into debt buying crystals. But I mean, like, I love them so much and they bring me so much joy. And the medicine in them, the
Mm,
colors, the energy, the inspiration, and Earth made it. Like, how cool is it that Earth makes these beautiful things? Like
right.
with all these colors and different color combinations, shapes, sizes. Like, I mean,
Just the whole thing. I'm a
amazing.
I'm a crystal girl too, so we're
Yeah.
on the same page.
So right now I'm choosing intuitively. I'm not going in any specific order, but I'm choosing a crystal to work with and I go real into my process. Like I mean, I sleep with it. I keep
I
it by
love
my
it.
side. I hold it. I'm holding it right now. Right
Right.
now I'm doing ruby and fuchsite. But I
Oh,
hold on
that's
to
fun.
it and I dream of it. I try to work with it as much as I can. I meditate with it. And then I allow myself to be inspired to create an art project based off of it. And it might be based off the energy or the colors or and it might
Whatever.
be on the canvas or it might be my art journal. I don't allow myself to be restricted. It's whatever I feel like.
Oh, I love
Um
that.
and now they're coming forward quicker than I anticipated originally.
Right.
And I'm just working around with their energies. And then, so what I do is I make the artwork and I share with everybody about the crystal, um, like what kind of healing properties it might have and things like that, or like any
Right.
cool
Oh my
stories.
gosh, I just got a little chill. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
having fun and I'm like sharing knowledge, but also like the medicine and the healing behind it and the creative
Right.
process. So I'll
Right.
either make a video of me working on the project or show like my progress pictures and I'm just
Right.
having fun with it.
So I love that. So I just like, I'm just kind of putting this together. So you pick something that sparks you, and then that you immerse yourself in that,
Yep.
and then from there, classes, messages.
Yep.
There's an inspiration to share it. That's such a natural teacher to me. Like I always think
Yeah.
of the natural teachers. They learn something and they immediately want to turn it
Yeah.
into a way to share it with
Well, do you know
people.
what the best way to remember something is? To teach it. Literally.
Right, right.
And this is
That's how
how
I learn it
this is
sometimes.
like a proven fact. I don't remember
Oh,
the statistic,
wow.
but like
Okay.
once you learn something, immediately go out and tell someone else about it, share it, teach it to someone else, and it will be solidified in your brain.
Wow.
So I'm
Wow.
all about teaching. I definitely like a it's in my blood. I love teaching. I love showing. I love exploring and creating and like telling everyone how to do it too.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I- That makes so much sense to me. Like, I have to speak it. Like, I have to talk about it or speak it when I'm teaching, like something that I'm just learning. Like,
Yeah,
start talking about it like I know, and I'm always like just so you know, I'm learning right with you guys, but it's just coming
Yeah,
out right now. Like, da, da, da,
yeah.
da, da. Yeah.
That's you, like, literally naturally are knowing what's best for you. Your brain's like, "This is how you're gonna know," like,
Oh, I
sharing
love
it, you know?
sharing it. Right. Right. Well, it brings it. Yeah, there's so many things I are snapping in my little brain right now.
I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
move. Yeah, I'm gonna move to another question though, because I just have these yummy questions. I just want to make sure I get them all in,
Sure.
which is, what is the most inspiring, like your workspace? Does it move or is it like in one place in your house, like the place where you create? Like, I'm like the whole house is my vortex, even though I have a
Lily wants
studio.
to say hi.
Hi.
This
Oh
is
my
my baby.
God. We're
So,
so glad you're
my
here with
workspace
us.
my workspace is forever shifting, but it is in the kitchen.
Right.
And
Right.
I ditched my dining room table and
Oh,
I made my dream workspace because we never used it.
right.
What's the point,
Right.
right?
Right.
But I
Right.
do have a portable thing, like, so I can paint literally in bed
Oh,
if I
nice.
want to, because if I feel inspired and I want to watch a TV show, I'm painting in
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah. So it feels like it's like your whole space, like your whole shelter is your whole creative space. It's just, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I
like
love that.
my
I'm the same
crystals
way. So,
are all over my house. I have different, like, all different areas, all filled with inspiration, books, crystals, plants. My
right,
whole workspace, my whole
right.
home is literally, it's probably a living piece of like art at this point.
Oh, I love that. A living
But
piece.
it's all
Oh,
mine and my babies, and it
right,
makes us happy, brings us
right.
joy.
Yeah. Yes. Super fun. And how would you like? All of us have. You kind of touched on this, like the creative practice, right? But like, how do you take care of your inner muse, like that part of you that is the creator? That seems like, you know, all of you. I just love this. But how do you? What is your self care pieces that you or a piece you would share with others that's super simple and
For self-care, for me, definitely like get a couple breaths of fresh air every day
mm,
and drink a
mm,
ton of water. And make sure that you give yourself 5 minutes at the very least to be creative in some way every single day.
no
Like,
matter what it is, it can be
yep,
whatever.
it
Just
could be weaving, it could be singing and dancing if you don't really have time to break out the canvas and the paints. Anything, anything. Just
right,
but make sure you're giving yourself that because you
right.
deserve it. Everybody should have an hour, but if you can't get an hour, 5 minutes.
Right, right. Because we kind of live in this interesting structured place. I always think of that, especially for creatives. Like Lynn Andrews, this always sticks in. It was one of those things that I put in my pocket. She talked about the different faces of the mother. And for her, she put it into 4 different faces, which is like the earth mother, the creative mother, the death mother, and kind of the crazy mother.
Can you
And the idea of it is that we're all of it, but
not right now?
we have one of either. That's okay.
Okay, not right now.
Yeah.
5 more minutes, please. Hold on 1 second.
It's okay. Yeah, do what you need to do.
You can play basketball. I love you. She wanted to play basketball on the back of the thing that my computer is on.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, we're not playing basketball
We would be
right
having an earthquake as we're talking. Oh,
but that's life, right?
thank you for your patience. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries. But that's like life, okay? So I
Right.
get interrupted and I want to have my
Well, this is
creative time.
perfect. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on the fly. This is how it happens. Redirecting them, having them join in on the process. So she'll whip out her own little creative table right next to mine.
I love
And we'll
that.
set up her paint so she can do it with me. And it's
Right.
not, Mom's ignoring you. It's,
Right.
hey, let's play. Let's see what we could both come up with.
Right. Right. I love that. So it's like inviting them in, and at the same time,
Yeah,
um,
because I also want her to know, like, just like I want to share the message with the other mothers and other people out there.
right. Yes.
You can do anything you want. What's inside you? Let's explore it. Let's see, what we come up with, and don't be scared. So many
Right.
people get scared, right, of
Right.
creating. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to make a mistake.
Oh my
Who
gosh. Yeah.
cares? You
Like,
can
let's make
paint over
mistakes.
it.
Like, I always think it'd be so fun to do. Let's make mistakes day.
Yeah.
Or I
I
call
actually,
it ugly color day. Like, I always have my students put colors together they would never put together. Like, let's just see what we
yeah.
can create. Yeah.
I actually have a project that I'm working on, and it's called Making Ugly Art, and you're intentionally exploring what you're afraid of on the canvas. So you're going to use
Oh
those
my
ugly colors. You're going
gosh.
to, you know, you're going to put down anything that you think is ugly. Maybe you want to paint a piece of poop. I don't know.
Right.
But like,
Right.
go ahead and dive in and explore the very thing that you're afraid of happening, and get it out of your system.
Right. Right. Like, yeah, I love that. Oh, I can't wait for you to put that out. I'm in. Sign me
Yeah,
up.
totally.
Love it. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And in the flow, I love the inviting in too, because that there's a non-attachment with that for me a little bit, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter the outcome is in that moment. Like you're just all together. And they come in and they're in that space for as long as they need, and then they move organically to their next piece, whatever's happening in the house.
Yeah,
That's how
completely
I'm just
unattached to
remembering
whether
that.
or not it's good, or if you keep
Right,
it.
right,
Like,
right.
Lillian
Just
will,
creating
pump
is
out
the
5 paintings in like 2 minutes, and they're magical. They're beautiful.
right. Yeah. I love watching and then to me it's like you were talking about that too about community and you keep that energy. There's something that happens when you're in a community of creative. I call them cultural creatives. Like I love that. There's always ideas and movement happening. That's where I feel
Yeah,
in balance. And doesn't matter what's being creating as long as something's being created.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love surrounding myself with like all of you guys, like the CCFC people from
Right.
under Whitney, and all of you guys, because when I started connecting with you all, it really reignited my fire, and it really tied in the whole spirituality
Right.
into my painting practice, which I didn't really have before this. So the last year or two is the first year or two that I really thought about it as like a spiritual
Right.
thing, like
Right.
a practice. And like, I can't believe I never had made that connection before. Or maybe I was afraid to. I don't know.
But it's a journey, right? Like just your story is a journey. Like it just feels like the next level of your
Yeah.
journey. Like
It's
this is the
always
next level of my journey is reaching out and talking to other women. That's part, like we just keep I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah. No, but go for
Just
it.
doing
You give it a
it.
try, you have fun. I mean, and look at the
Right.
connections and the information and the ideas you're creating from it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm already taking notes on some of the pieces that you
Yeah, I
said. I
mean,
just
like,
feel really
and thank
grateful.
you for creating the space. That's amazing.
Right.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
thanks. I have two more questions because I
Okay.
know we have basketball happening. So I just want to be respectful of your
No
time,
worries.
which which is uh, I have this thing where I love to ask kind of a little bit more deeper, expansive questions, which
What?
is the first one is um, if you had somebody in this world right now that you would love to have tea with, right? You would just love to have tea with him or her. What question are you burning to ask them? Like, what would be the question that you would want to ask?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
I know, isn't that interesting? It's such an interesting question. Like, I came up to it once with a friend of mine who's super creative, and I said, who would you bring to tea? And she, I forget who, I think it was Desmond Tutu, and she would ask about, can't remember what she even said, but mine was like Barack Obama at the time, and I just had this question I just wanted to ask him, which is, what does he want humanity to remember, right? Because he was moving out of his presidency.
Yeah.
So it's like, who would you want to have tea with, or go for a hike with, or paint with?
Anybody. Let's see. Oh
Or who would
boy.
you want to paint with? Yeah, like just
Um, I would
it could be anyone.
like you really got me on this. Who would it be?
I don't know. Is that a cool question? Because it makes you kind of stop. Like,
That's a stickler.
yeah,
Um,
we can come back to it too.
I think that I've always really been fascinated by psychology, so I would want to talk like Sigmund Freud or something. Like I would
Oh, I
I,
love
like
that.
because like he has all those weird thoughts about women and like
Yeah,
their mothers and fathers and stuff. I would
right,
want to just like pick his brain a little bit
right.
and just be like, well, why do you think?
What would you tell him? Like, what would you tell him about this world? Because now, you're like, I love this. Like, what would you let him know is happening in this world? Like, what would be one thing you would want to make sure he knew? Like,
I
did you
mean, like
know?
he would probably be interested in where research went since then. So like maybe I would talk more about like how psychology has, progressed and
Right,
how life is different and the relationship and roles between women and men are different. I mean, I'm sure he would find that all fascinating.
oh, wow. That's really cool. And how would you link your creative knowledge? Like, what would you tell him about how creativity and psychology work
Yeah, I mean,
together?
like I would probably have to show him my paintings and be like, "Well, look, this is how I incorporate psychology and art and how I'm
Right,
using it to help people." Because I mean, he wanted to help people that were experiencing things like anxiety and depression, but at that
right,
time they didn't really know what they were, and
right.
they would
Oh my
treat
gosh,
people very
right,
differently than like it wasn't acceptable then like it is now.
right.
So I think that he would find it interesting how different things are and how we can correlate mental health with creative time and things like that.
Wow. Just think of how much we've evolved.
I know. Isn't
That's
it amazing? I think
amazing.
about it all the time. I'm like, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
so
Much
amazing.
rather live right now. I'll tell you that.
I love it. Okay, so my question is the same question I would ask Barack Obama. I would love it if you would share what do we're all kind of coming, like to me, I feel like there's this switch right now of like some of the energy has been held in such a different way over the last 2 or 3 years with COVID and just
Yeah.
all this stuff that came to the surface, so many pieces. Like I think like humanity has transformed so many pieces right now, or things came to different awarenesses from women's rights to Black Lives Matter, just like all this stuff that's come up, right?
Yep.
Like what would you want women, I'm going to say women because I know that's such a passion of yours, for women to remember as we move forward, like because we're moving forward, I can
Yeah.
feel it. Yeah, like
I
what would you want them to remember?
I would want them to remember their own strength. I think
Mm,
we forget how powerful we are, and especially like how strong our mind is and how much we can tame our own mind so that we can be stronger and accomplish more and more,
right,
we can invent more things and we can open up so many doors and so many windows and all this amazing things through
right,
our mind, but we get trapped in limiting beliefs and thinking that we're not strong enough or we don't have enough
right,
time and all those things.
right,
But you are strong enough. And if you take the time to take care of your mental health and watch where your thoughts are going and feed your head, you can accomplish anything. So I just think that that's really important. I think it's often forgotten.
wow, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for today. And
You're
in
welcome.
the
Thank you for having me. It
oh
was
and
awesome
in
talking to you.
oh I know, I love it. I can't wait to do more of this actually.
Yeah, but my doggy can't just eat cat food because my dog throws up cat food all over the place on
Oh
that.
my
Oh
gosh.
dear.
And
That
then
would
I
be
clean
a
it
mess.
up with just my cleaner stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's
So
amazing.
don't feed your dogs cat food.
So the message is,
That's
everyone,
Lillian's message.
that's our party message. I love it. And your link is below so people can check your work out. And anything else you want to say to these beautiful women
Yeah.
who'll be
Thank you so much for watching, and definitely connect with me. I love to learn and grow and share with you all. So find me on Facebook, and I'd love to chat. Don't ever be afraid to reach out to me. And
Oh my gosh,
Bill,
April.
reach out to me anytime. I love talking with you.
I do too. All right, everyone. Thank you, and we will see you again soon.